Hi YouTube, today I'm going to show you how to make storybook blocks. As a seller on Etsy, I usually sell these in sets of 6, but today we'll be using 8 as this is a custom order. So first you'll need a storybook. It can be any storybook and where the wild things are. You'll need blocks. I get these pre-cut. You can buy them from Hobby World, Hobbycraft. Mod Podge in the gloss range. And something to hold your Mod Podge in. This is just something that I've made, but you can use anything like a cup or a bowl. And you'll also need a brush. You can use a bigger brush, but I've actually run out of bigger brushes. So first you want to start by selecting the images that you'll need from the book. Most books have just enough images in it to cover the blocks. So you want to make sure you pick your images wisely and cut them out carefully. So just tear pages out that you want to use. So you're going to want to cut the image out bigger than the square on the block. You don't want to do it too small because you don't want to see the wood underneath. So you cut it out too big. As you can see here, bigger than the square. There's a lot of excess hanging over, and then once you glue it on you can trim the excess off. So when you glue it, you place it down so it uses it as a weight, so none of the corners peel off. So we're going to do that for each and every side. So now that's done, you're going to want to move it to the side. Get your Mod Podge. Then start gluing. You don't want to use too much glue as it'll crinkle. So you want it to be nice, even amount. Make sure you get all the corners. Even if you are going to trim the excess off, it doesn't matter. You've just got to make sure you get all the corners. You can add the glue on over. So place it, make sure you get the image on the square, the bit that you want showing. Like, you don't want to miss the eye out because there is excess on the paper, so make sure it's in. You can always add a little bit on. I do suggest Mod Podging the paper, as I think it's better. It tends to peel if you just Mod Podge the block. So make sure all the wrinkles are out. You can be left with some wrinkles, that's fine, because once it's dry it will dry flat. And then use it as a weight, press it down, and then leave it, do the other side as well. So we're just going to do this to each and every block. We just do the 2 sides and leave them to dry, and they'll be dry enough to trim the edges off in a moment. So you can just blob that Mod Podge on, but just make sure you wipe the excess off, and then again press it down and use it as a weight. Use the block as a weight. As you can see, there's still excess, but it'll dry in a minute, and we're going to go and do that to every block. Right, so once that's done, you go back to the original block that you used, as this will be the most dry one, and you want to trim the excess. The Mod Podge is still wet, but it's dry enough to cut the excess off. So you want to go around each side. You don't want to tilt your scissors too much, as you don't want to cut the edge of the block and make it blunt. So you just trim it next to the block to give it a nice smooth edge. You do the same on both sides. And then we're going to add 2 more images on each side. So as you can see, they're up the same way up. I do them all the same way up until we get to the top and the bottom ones. I'll show you what to do with them in a minute. So we're going to again do the same as we've done before. Apply the Mod Podge on, not too much. Make sure it's nice and covered so you don't want them corners peeling. And then make sure you get the image right where you want it, because you don't want to be cutting any of the mouth off or the eyes. You want a good bit of image on the block. And then you want to flip it over and do the other side. But make sure it's in the same direction. I just reckon it looks nice when they're all in the same way. So again, once this is placed on, smooth it out and use the block as a weight again. And then you're going to want to do this for each and every block, and then do the exact same, repeat it so all the sides are covered. So you want to trim the excess again and go back to the first block when it's done and repeat it again. So once this is done, do the next 2 pictures until 6 sides are done. So once that's done and all the pictures are covered, you're going to want to cut the excess off. But be careful, you want to tilt your scissors, as you don't want to trim the other pictures that are down, because it will leave a white mark. So trim around all the edge and be careful, take your time when you do it. So like I said, when I get to the last 2 pictures on the block, I like to flip them over. I do one way and one the other way, as I just reckon it looks nicer and more professional when it's done. So you want all 4 images going around the outside the same, and then one way on one side, and then flip it the other side and do it the other way. And just be careful when you're trimming the last 2 images, as you don't want to mark your picture. So just take your time and keep going over it to make sure you've trimmed all the excess off. And now that's the finished block, we're going to apply the Mod Podge. Now you can apply this quite thick, but you want it to go down in the same direction. We're going to do the 4 sides first, as it's just easier to hold the block. So we'll do down each 4 sides. For this Mod Podge bit, we'll do 5 sides in total, because you don't want to do all 6 sides, because when you put the block down, it'll stick to the surface and you won't be able to get it back off without wrecking the image, one of the images on the block. So like I say, make sure you go down in the same direction, as it does dry translucent, but you can see the strokes from the brush. Make sure you get it all over each corner, even down the edge as well, as it gives it a less sharper look. It's also less likely to peel if you do down the sides of the edge. I'm not saying that it will peel, it just gives it a longer lasting block. Right, so now the 4 sides are done. You want to just make sure that it's all covered, and then you'll place your block down and do the top of the block. You want something to protect your surface, so I'm just going to use the book, and then apply the Mod Podge onto the last piece. And you don't want it clumpy either, so keep brushing over it so all the lines are out of it and that it's nice and smooth. You don't want big lumps, because it will dry in a big lump. And you want to do this the same with each and every block. So trim the excess and then Mod Podge. Right, so now all the blocks have been Mod Podged, you're going to want to leave them to dry, so they're dry to touch and you can't see no more glue, it's all clear, and then we'll come back to them. Right, so these are dry, as you can see, they're dry to touch. You're going to want to flip them all over and do the exact same to each and every block again. So you want to coat the 4 sides with Mod Podge, again making sure that they're all going down in lines. Do the 4 sides first and then go to the dry top that you haven't coated in Mod Podge originally and coat that as well. Make sure you've turned them all round, because if you end up leaving a side without Mod Podge on, it just hasn't got that sheen on it, or it's more likely to peel again. So make sure all the glue goes down in the same direction and that there's no lumps, as it just gives it a more professional look. And do this with each and every block, and then leave it to dry again. Right, so these are, I know these aren't the same blocks, but these are another set of blocks. As you can see, the lines are going down them. These are Winnie the Pooh blocks. Like I say, you can do these with any style of blocks. So this is the finished look. So if you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching.